Yeah, the most rewarding for me is definitely what drives my purpose, which is seeing others rise to their full potential. So whether that's the founder themselves, the whole team, being able to coach, mentor them, individuals on a one-on-one basis and within teams, the health of the leadership team is the health of the business. The health of the entrepreneur and the founder is the health of the business, and seeing the them rise to their full potential as well as the company itself rise to its goals, continue in growth, and continue in the growth trajectory to the potential that it originally, is seen, and bringing that to fruition is my greatest reward in what I do.
Welcome to Delegation Dialogues, the podcast where we dive into the world of business operations and explore the strategies that help companies thrive. Join your host, Regine Regencia, as she interviews business owners and professionals who share their insights on effective delegation, leadership, and growth. Let's get started.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Delegation Dialogue. I'm your host, Regine Regencia, and today we're joined by a powerhouse in the world of business strategy and leadership, Jill Simonds. The founder of Savvy Strategic Partners has over 15 years of experience in developing and leading high-growth organizations to scale. As a mastery level integrator with EOS, a COO, and a growth strategist, Jill empowers entrepreneurial business owners to achieve their visions through strategic growth, people development, and disciplined execution. Jill, we're thrilled to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Excited to be
And
here.
Great. And this will also be my first time knowing you, like first time. So Armando
Yeah.
connected us together, and I'm really excited to get to know you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yes, so nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And yeah, into some few questions for you. Jill, you've worked with a wide range of businesses, helping them scale and achieve growth. What are some of the biggest challenges these businesses face when it comes to strategic growth and execution?
Yes, definitely. So we call ourselves small business liberators. So a lot of businesses that we work with in a unique profile are dealing with financial stagnation. They have low team morale. They're frustrated and overwhelmed within the leadership team. So growth may have been stunted at some point along the journey. They may have grown too quickly to be able to manage that growth well, leading to a lot of stress. So our clients typically talk a lot about overwhelm, feeling frustrated, resentful, really fearful about the future of their business.
And I think every business owners has that.
Exactly.
For sure, for sure. But if these businesses, don't address these challenges effectively, what are the potential risks and consequences they might face?
Yes. So they obviously facing financial stagnation may very well be the case of that actually happening if they don't do something about it, if they don't approach that as a problem and issue to solve within the organization with the right caliber of leaders, people, supports that the business needs to take the business to the next level, and to continue its growth healthily and healthy growth. A lot of them are facing or could be facing challenges of personnel dynamics within the team, not having the right values match and right fit of people in the organization for what that business truly needs to elevate in its health. Healthy people, healthy teams, dynamics within a team that are strong, built on trust. A lot of those people dynamics and situations where a team has perhaps been together for a really long time, or the growth trajectory of the business has outgrown those team members and the team isn't really addressing it, that that becomes a toxic disease in the company without the right fit people and values and the alignment of those values and the alignment of those individuals toward that common vision and that common goal. So either the financials are proving unhealthy, or the team itself, despite how well of a vision, despite how well of an intellectual property and caliber of growth that business might hold, they can be facing issues within the team morale and dynamics that won't get them to that next level, despite how, great of an idea or plan or forward momentum they've had that got them to where they are.
Wow. And I think those are really big issues that needs to be overcome. And on
Hmm.
the other side, let's say, if you can talk about that, can you share a success story from your work where a business was able to overcome those kind of, obstacle that you just mentioned and achieve remarkable growth?
Absolutely. Yes, one good story is within a professional services based organization in the legal industry. They are definitely a prime example of the disorganization and lack of team collaboration toward a common objective, toward that common vision. And really working toward what for a lot of years brought them to their level of success and had reached a level of stagnation for several years in the business. We came in, we've conducted what we call as a vision and sort of value assessment in the business, and approached it with a very tactical team approach with more than one of us on the bench of leadership serving in a fractional basis, because it was very evident the health of the business needed supports and structures across the leadership team, and was not quite at the level of and caliber of leadership that they needed. Through that assessment, we were able to understand really where the root of their issues were, and utilizing the system of EOS. So that is at the foundation of what we bring in as an operating system, serving teams with EOS. I serve as an integrator certified in that. So utilizing that operating system, we're able to get clarity on what their vision really was. What is the summit for that organization, the next ceiling of growth that we are aiming for? Without that, the team had been operating for several years without any sort of strong measures toward goals. So getting a system in place, a clear vision for them to align to, and setting a cadence of regularly tracking the execution and tracking the measurables associated with executing that plan, we were able to transform the growth momentum, surpassing beyond a 20% year on year growth already for this year as compared to their performance last year from a revenue standpoint, but also just the health of the team and the team dynamics and having a solid bench of leaders. The culture and a lot more of those quantitative measures of health in the team have improved significantly with the dynamics and the health and the morale of the team members themselves.
Wow, and just taking the step to make that decision, to look for help is already a big thing. And it's like when you're
Hmm.
getting inside them, there's already a problem. But acknowledging that there's an issue is something that also takes a lot of
Right.
courage to really do it. And I'm like, when I am just listening to you as a business owner myself and owning
Hmm.
a strategic staffing agency right now, I'm like thinking, how about us? How's our current growth as of the moment? So I'm really curious, and I'm glad that
Hmm.
with a lot of things that you're saying, the points that you're making right now, I'm definitely gonna listen to this podcast again. But yeah,
Good. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And
Always happy to help, to reach out to me if there's anything that we
right.
can do to support you. I'd be happy to talk.
Right. It's a lot of things. Like all of the phases of a business, you've mentioned all of those, which is really great. Now, with regards to
Hmm.
feedback, let's talk about some testimony. What kind of feedback have you received from business leaders who work with you? I'm really interested to know that. How has your
Hmm.
approach impacted their organizations?
Mm. The one that I love the most is often as simple as, I feel like I can breathe again. I feel like I can
Oh,
sleep again. We breathe life back into their ability, their capacity as business owners to fully entrust and let go of so much of what inundated their time and their energy in the business, to allow them to truly feel in control and be in better control, prioritizing better, understanding their teams better, understanding the full workflow and process of, you know, what's more short term and what's long term, and how do we prioritize accordingly to put their energy into the most impactful areas of the business and the areas they have fun, right? As business owners, we start this with this promise of freedom, being
Yeah.
able to, be, as entrepreneurs, have that freedom to explore and grow at paces that eventually become tethered the more complicated or involved the business becomes, or the more people who are involved in that business, to then a caretaker of that, right? Rather than the things that got us to that point in the first place, and that promise of what that endeavor looked like initially. And so getting founder owners back to their purpose and their passion that aligns with who they are, they can breathe again, they can sleep again, because their energy and their passion is going into what fuels them more than everything that comes with managing a business and managing the people. And all of those things are so hugely important, but recognizing they can't do it all. They can't
Yeah.
simply do it all. It's not sustainable. It's not going to sustain long term for them to be able to pour the same amount of passion they did initially into their business to grow it. It won't sustain, and it won't grow healthily without burning that business owner out. So the goal is to get ahead of that and put them in a position and provide the supports, structures, resources, and systems so that they can sleep at night, they can approach their work with passion and ease, and take care of themselves. Because a healthy business owner entails a healthier business, overall a healthier team. So if we're healthy as individuals and we're healthy as entrepreneurs and business owners first and foremost, and we're in protection of that, then everybody's healthier as a result of that.
Wow. Sometimes, being in control means letting go, and that's the hardest part.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
right. And I think that's one thing that we have in common with the service that we're offering. We're offering
Hmm.
virtual assistant services. And what we do is actually help entrepreneurs with regards to reclaiming 20 to 30 hours of their time. Because as we all know, once they start the business, they're doing a lot of admin tasks, which can actually be
Yep.
delegated. And that's exactly what I think one of the things that you're doing on the I would say letting the business owners breathe again. I really love that. I really love
Yeah.
that part. With regards to
Yeah.
delegation, what do you think can you say to those business owners out there?
Yeah. That's so great, because we step in as leadership team members, and oftentimes with our clients, we're missing someone like you and someone like the individuals on the team you serve that are in direct support of catching everything inundating the business owner, from their email, their calendar, their, just managing their time, which is not what we do, right? We're stepping in
Yeah.
as leadership team, and the teams that already have that aspect, those business owners have that aspect of delegation already built within their disciplines, makes everything that much more aligned and set up well to not rely on them and depend on it. It's already built less founder dependency in that business. And as far as delegation goes, then for the ones that don't have that in place, there's a whole learning curve. There's so much longer of a learning curve of what they're willing to let go of or not. And so if they haven't even let go of control of management of their day-to-day tasks, management of their time, their emails and their schedules, their calendars, that in itself alleviates half of their stress, half of their worry, and their, like you said, freeing up 20 to 30 hours of their week, which is, it's massive for a visionary who can get so much accomplished in that shorter amount of time. That's everything. That's their entire energy pool is getting sucked from those sorts of tasks. So that's extremely valuable, first and foremost. In terms of words of wisdom or ways in approaching that, oftentimes it is really a matter of, it's not so much a matter of them trusting another person, as much as the outcomes and the system in place, and from what I've seen in my experience. So some have hired, someone close or friend or near and dear to them who's an executive assistant, with that skill set. But if the system fails and there's not the right tools in place and resources in place for that to be managed effectively in the way that they need to, then that transfer of delegation is that much more difficult. So coming in with a proven system of delegation and tools and expertise and assistants who have been able to take the technology and the sources of their stress and burden and make it completely disappear from their mind space, is it's transformative for them. And oftentimes it just takes them seeing that system to build that trust and see the outcomes of it quickly, in order for them to be able to delegate more difficult things in the future as well.
For sure. And I think I've seen a book about art of delegation. That's why they say it's an art. Because
It is, yeah.
not, I mean, even I am a CEO of strategic virtual staffing service, yet I find it hard to really delegate. I also have that thing when I started this business, but later on, I realized the importance of delegation to make sure that I'm just working on the things that only I can do as the head of the business. And I think most of the entrepreneurs really fall into that trap wherein when we start business, we have this goal to lessen our time in doing that and doing the things that I love to do. But later on, we don't imagine it ourselves that we're already giving more than what we're imagining or our goal really are when we started a business. But I'm glad that we're talking about that. I haven't really read the book yet. I hope I can read that soon, The Art of Delegation.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
framework, process, and all will really help it. Delegation can also not work if there's no framework, which is really,
exactly.
it's really happening.
Yeah, there is an art to it, and it's crucial that all of the steps are followed. It's easy to, for some people anyway, to just hand something over. What a relief to be able to say, "Gosh, you're going to do this now," as opposed to me drowning in it. And I have maybe my certain ways and specificity in terms of how it needs to be handled and understood and improved upon. But if there's the whole other half of delegation involves a continual feedback loop, a continual iteration of what they've taken over in ways that there's full understanding, that there's full adaptation to it. They have the resources they need to effectively handle it. Where a lot of individuals miss half the steps and the art of delegating well,
Yeah,
to involve that individual to do it, not only to handle it and take it on, but what about doing it better? What about improving upon it? What about creating better efficiencies within how it was handled in the past? What about integrating other elements of other things in the business that need more of that 30,000 foot view? So I think a lot of people, delegation fails because we're lacking the understanding of the full art of delegating it well. And then the results of that cause us to question ever delegating. They cause us to be inhibited by delegating in the future because of one failure, or because, and usually that failure is on us, right? It's a human error in transfer of knowledge and understanding something. So if we miss the mark on that, we're less likely to delegate well in the future. So understanding that skill set, is huge, especially for any founder. At least knowing
for
full
sure.
cycle how to ensure that it's successfully delegated.
Awesome. Sounds great. And speaking of delegation, for those listening who are struggling with it, for sure there's a lot, there's a ton of them. What should they
Yes,
know about the benefits of working with an integrator like yourself for those that are, has issues with delegation?
that's a great question. Oftentimes I'm teaching on this quite a
Uh,
bit, obviously, and within founder-led organizations, there's immense value in reducing the dependency of the founder in the business. Oftentimes, organizations start with that founder doing everything. They've built up the sales engine and the prospecting
Yeah.
and the processes for delivering client services or product. And so they know and house all of that in their intellectual property, in the makeup, and in their institutional knowledge from day one. So we work a lot through EOS provides an incredibly valuable tool for this that's simple called Delegate and Elevate. Use of that itself is helpful in simplifying by quadrants. What do you love and that you're great at doing? What do you like and you're not so great at doing? What do you don't like to do but you're actually good at? And then what are items that you're working on in your day-to-day that you hate, you don't enjoy them, and you're not very good at them, but you're still accountable to them. The breakdown of those quadrants is really helpful in at least identifying what has to go. It helps us
Yeah.
identify what needs to be delegated, because oftentimes in the overwhelm and we're going through the motions, compartmentalizing it is the first step in indicating, gosh, yeah, this would free up so much of my energy. Not focusing on these things that I'm continually doing, I don't enjoy them, and I kind of muddle through them, and I need somebody who's really skilled at this instead to take it over and that could do it better than I can. So that tool and utilizing that tool is really effectively, but more so than the tool itself is being in that constant mindset. Because
Yeah.
the sooner we release that dependency on a process, on an idea, on execution of something, and we already have in mind when we're going into it what point we can build it to then successfully hand it over to somebody, the more in that mindset and cadence we are to instilling that institutional knowledge throughout your team, instilling that understanding, that intellectual property to others in the team to carry it forward as well. So it's not solely always dependent on you. So the tool itself, but also it's a mindset.
For
It
sure.
takes really that intentional channeling of constantly looking at ways to scale yourself and scale your team. So use it on yourself to delegate, elevate, and then constantly looking at team members from that lens as well.
Sounds great. And that's an interesting tool. So just being ready of,
Mm-hmm.
listing down the things that they can delegate is really a great thing. Which I remember a few clients that I've onboarded. Like the first question I asked them after first week of working with a virtual assistant is that, what's the if there's one thing that they'd like to change during the hiring process of a virtual assistant to start delegating, what is it? And one thing that they said,
Mm-hmm.
I hope I had this time that I should have set aside to just really list down things that I can already delegate. And if this tool is already a tool that they can actually use, which is really good. And of course, the right mindset. So, finally,
Mm-hmm.
Jill, for entrepreneurs who are hesitant about, delegation or investing in strategic planning and leadership development, what would you say to encourage them to take the crucial step?
To take the crucial step,
Yep.
in terms of reasons to take that step, or
Could be, yes. What will make them, get to that step wherein they'll start delegating. They're gonna start,
okay,
investing in strategic planning and all.
right. Well, they're usually at a pivotal moment of realization that if they don't, what is the outcome and future of their business if they don't? Will things get better? Probably not. Will they stay the
Should.
same?
Yep, yep. That should be the goal.
Maybe. Or will they die, right? Will the business die? The longer they're in position of
Wow.
not forecasting, not strategically planning for the growth of their business, not delegating effectively and building in strengths within a team beyond themselves to grow the value in their business beyond their sole involvement. So that realization and truth has to, it's like anything in seeking help as an individual for anything we face. It's the same in business, right? If I'm sick, If I have an unhealthy habit or discipline, everyone else can tell me that. Everyone else can tell me or suggest what I should do until we admit it as business owners and see it ourselves. We won't take the path then of ensuring the right systems, people are in place, we're surrounded with the resources to drive the business forward. So I think that is very much true in the founder as well. That self-awareness is key, and the realization when they can sit down and realize things could stay the same. Are they okay with that? If things get worse, where am I in this? And I don't want things to get worse, or to die, in the business to die. Then they're taking the intention and making the intention to instill the disciplines and the steps they need to take to ensure that it's on an upward momentum and a healthy growth.
Which is really great because it's realization once they, and I think most of the entrepreneurs are really going to go through that process. Once they realize it, they're going to go through intentional decision, which is, I think, most of the entrepreneurs, the true entrepreneurs, are really going to go through that pace. And yeah, I'm gonna poke your brain a bit with some rapid fire questions. So we're into that now, which I think you've been really
Okay.
giving us a lot of great insights, Jill. So I'm just gonna ask
Yeah.
you some rapid fire questions. So,
Okay.
what's the best piece of leadership advice you've ever received?
Sorry, I have so many that come to mind. The best, yeah, choosing one, I'd say best leadership advice is more so about, it's not about what we do, accomplishments, achievements. It's how we make people feel.
Oh,
It's not necessarily an advice. I guess the advice from that would be the the power in connection, relationships is so much more important as a leader when our people know that we care deeply about them as humans. Nothing else I've seen in the dozens of businesses that I've served have proven more valuable than care of human connection and care for people in a way that is evident, and they know that who they're working with or who they're working for as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that that individual cares about their livelihood, their hopes, their dreams, their families, their ambitions, just who they are, the things they go through. So I think that's one I always carry with me in moments of questioning or in moments of doubt about how to approach a situation, approaching it with care first, empathy for them has always strengthened those relationships more than any sort of accomplishment we achieve together or goal that we conquer together, is more so the relationship behind it.
wow. And that's I would say with regards to retention, relationship building will always be the first. Though I know it's not going to be that easy as well because there's few things that we cannot really
Hmm.
control with people that we're working with, but as leaders, that should be I like that. I haven't really heard much about that. Like cuz I always
Hmm.
heard, since I'm new to the business, I'm always honest with that. I always heard about framework, SOP, systems, and everything. But with regards to relationship building, that's one thing that also should be, on top of the important things with regards to business. And thank you for that, Jill. Now, if we're
Hmm.
gonna change that, if you could give one piece of advice to a new executive, what would it be?
I think right along those lines too, with an executive is the care and connection for relationships that that entails building the right circle around them of individuals, whether that's coaching, whether that's therapy, whether that's a mentorship group, a mastermind group, or all of the above. We are stronger. as strong as, the circle around us. And so those relationships and care of others from a true relation building standpoint and not necessarily transactional, I think is the starting foundation then for growth and business opportunities, because that connection and relationship oftentimes happens first before there is any sort of transactional, referral and growing of business and sending referrals. That all starts with a strong and healthy knowing and relationship and connectivity first. So strengthen those relationships around them, lifting or surrounding themselves with others who also lift them, challenge them, hold them accountable. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs operate kind of in a solo environment, in a solopreneur environment. They are oftentimes feeling alone on an island, and that can be by choice. That can just be,
Yeah,
a matter of them not making the intention. So if they feel lonely, if they feel like they're alone and they don't have a support structure, or they're not quite in the mindset of, a healthy approach, or not achieving goals and outcomes and performing, oftentimes it's due to a lack of that connection relationship of those surrounding them that can lift them higher, hold them accountable, or even give them the permission to rest, or the accountability to better take care of themselves. So
for
ensuring
sure.
everybody has that circle around them and know that they're not alone.
Oh, and we can't really be where we are at without those people. That's one thing that I realized along the way.
Hmm.
The strategic partner we built along the way, like I'm not sure if you know Ryan Angat, who is a co-founder of
Hmm.
SaaS, and his
Okay.
really is one of those connection that I'm grateful that we've made, and it's because of the relationship that has been built. That's one thing, and even with Armando, one thing that I
Right.
learned from him is that once he wants to check if he can actually work with somebody, he has this podcast thing to know if they can be partner. And I'm like, yeah, it's all about relationship building and so on, which is
Hmm.
great. But you, Jill, as an integrator, how has your experience shaped your approach to business growth? Transitioning to the next question.
Yes. Um, how has it influenced my business growth?
Yeah, as an integrator yourself.
Yes. It's it's changed everything. Prior to having a system and tools that simplified the approach of business and simplified methods in which we work and how human energy is is transferred into execution in a business, I was oftentimes trying to build those, and kind of put together bits and pieces of goal setting and aligning on one specific and shared goal, prioritization of that. So discovering the entrepreneurial operating system gave me the tools and systems and structures that I needed to not have to reinvent that, and to utilize it in a proven method that works time and time again. So it's really transformed my approach to business. It's how I run my own business and firm as well, with my team. And it's what we bring in the foundation of businesses that we're serving in increasing value across the tangibles and intangibles, and value of their business. How we're bringing teams together to be healthy and honest and accountable. It's really, it is the foundation, like I said, of an operating system that we bring. And without that, I mean, that serves kind of as the foundation of every other endeavor, initiative in the business that we need to. We have a system to follow, that keeps us all on track with that and keeps us aligned on where the priorities are. So I'd say it's completely, it's transformed my approach in business leadership, and what we do as a firm.
Right. And I'm curious, as an integrator with, speaking about business strategy, leadership, and all, do you have any favorite
Mm-hmm.
book?
I have a lot of favorite books. I definitely in the EOS community is Traction.
Okay.
That is usually the strongest source educator of the system and how the transformational power in the system in any business. I also love The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham, I believe. Just pinpointing the errors, learning, talk about learning from others' mistakes, and being able to share failures and mistakes. That book is very much along those lines, which is, it makes it kind of comical, but it hits me in a way that's like, oof, yeah, that's a hard truth. I go back to that one quite a bit. I'm looking over here at my bookshelf because if I could show you too, I've got all my books on this bookshelf over here. I love anything by Brene Brown in terms of leadership and being raw and candid and real and authentic. And those are a handful of them, I'd say. I could probably go on about books that I love. And then I go back to, but
For sure.
there's a handful of them that are high on my list.
Right. And I'm not really a book reader myself, but when I started to, with the journey of entrepreneurship, that's when I suddenly appreciate reading books, especially business books. And you know what? The first book that I've actually read is written by Gina Wickman, The Entrepreneurship, and that was given to me by my mentor, which is Ryan, and it was awesome. And after that, I just can't get enough of reading business books. And those
Good.
are really helpful, I would say. So there you go. And on to the last question for today, Jill. What's the most rewarding part of your role as an integrator and growth strategist?
Oh, the most
Which I think
rewarding
you
part.
mentioned a little earlier.
Yeah, definitely. My purpose and why I'm driven and the most rewarding is seeing others rise to their full potential, whether that's the business owner themselves, but I take deep pride and care within the teams that I'm fortunate enough to work with as well, to coach and mentor in ways that go beyond just advising in their business and what they should and shouldn't do. It's them as humans, right? They're
Yeah.
rising to everybody's full potential because when the whole business and the whole team is untethered from, whatever head trash or fears or insecurities they may have as individuals, working on the whole self and working on the trust and dynamic of the whole team, and everybody's healthier, the potential in seeing that in others sometimes before they do and speaking it into them is the most rewarding.
Wow. That's why integrators are. I've only heard of integrators like a year ago when I started working with visionary entrepreneurs, which I now understand the importance of integrator in every businesses. And thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your insights for today, Jill. So, um, it's clear that your work in strategic growth and leadership has had a profound impact on the businesses and leaders you've guided. That's one thing that I've seen. And it's been incredibly insightful to learn from you. So, to our listeners, thank you for joining us for another episode of Delegation Dialogue. If you found today's discussion valuable, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with others who might benefit from Jill's insights. Remember, scaling your business is a journey, and with the right strategies and leadership, the sky's the limit. Until next time, I'm Regine Rahensha. Keep striving for excellence, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to Delegation Dialogues. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights into optimizing your business operations. If you are looking for expert virtual staffing solutions to support your business, visit Strategic Assistant Staffing at strategic-assistant.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. See you next time.